Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So it's day 5 of my 7 Days of Christmas series for 2019. So today's is going to be a little bit different. Now, over the past few weeks, I've been in conversation with new YouTube friend, Nina Ribena. And Nina and I have decided to do a little bit of collaboration for Christmas using Christmas themed napkins, which we seem to have done a lot of this year, more than normal. So Nina and I have exchanged napkins. Nina sent me some napkins through the post and I've done the same to her. And the challenge is to create anything but an art journal page with those napkins that we've sent. So you can watch what Nina's done with the napkins that I've sent to her by clicking that clickable link in the description area below this. But I'm going to turn over to my overhead camera and get cracking on my project with the ones that Nina sent to me. Okay, so these are the Christmas napkins that Nina sent to me. Now, we're only supposed to send each other a couple of 3 designs, and Nina's obviously gone a bit overboard and sent me more than what she was supposed to do. So I feel a bit of a cheapskate now because I only sent her what we said we were going to send. So yeah, I'm going to have to be a bit selective in which ones I actually use. So I'm going to probably use that one, probably use that one, and probably use that one for my project. Now, instead of doing an art journal page, I'm not going to do ATCs or a tag. I'm actually going to create some little hanging decorations for my little Christmas tree that I've put up in my kitchen, in the family area in the kitchen. And to do that, I've got some MDF circles. Now these are 2.5 inches, the same size as ATC coins. That's what they were actually done for, was to have a wooden base to create some ATC, well, artist trading coins, not cards, so AT coins. And I've got half a dozen, so I've got 6 of those. Now these AT coins are basis for these were a product that I was considering doing on my website for the new year, so for 2020. So if you're interested in purchasing I don't know, half a dozen of these 80 coin MDF circles at 2.5 inches, which is what they're supposed to be, then please leave me a comment in this comment section below, in the doobry thing below this. So yeah, so I've got 6 of those. So what I'm going to do is something just a little teeny bit different this year. Start off with, I'm going to open up the napkin, or one of the napkins, and I'm going to see what I can get from those corner pieces. So what kind of patterns can we get out? So probably from that middle section there, I can probably get 2 out of that. I mean, I could probably get a really decent one out of that, and another decent one out of that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab some scissors first of all, or should I chance it and use a scalpel? No, let me use some scissors. So what I'm going to do is I just fold that down the middle there, and then I can just trim about there and just go straight across. Now obviously I'm aware that this is a napkin, so it has ply, so there's going to be more layers to this than I'm going to need, but that's okay. Right, I'll pop those to one side and keep them for a later date, because those little deers and foxes and stuff are just too cute to pass up not being able to use at a later date. Maybe not in this series, but okay, so we've got that. So we said that one there and probably that one there. So let me cut that bit. So that one's going to go in the middle there, and then I'll cut that one right down. See, they're starting to separate already, which is fine. So that's a bit of spare 2. Spare 2, spare also. So that should just make it really simple now for those plies just to pull away. Now I'm not sure whether there's another one there, but that doesn't matter. And this one should come away fairly easy too, but that's an edge piece there. Sometimes you get 2-ply, sometimes you get 3-ply. You just never know until you actually start using them. But I think that's just going to be a 2-ply. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do with the background on this particular one. I've got some double-sided tape. This is my huge roll of double-sided tape. This is sign writer's tape. And this is what they use to stick letters and stuff onto signs on above shops and stores, that kind of thing. So I'm going to just gently push it down because it's extremely tacky. Just give that a rub, and I'll do the second one at this side piece first. And then just as I'm going, just smooth it down and try and smooth out those creases. There. Just give that a gentle rub. And then even where those kind of like impressed perforations are on the edges, where it grips, you know, the little pattern bit out the edge, if you just rub gently, it actually rubs those out too, which is cool. Right, so I need a little bit of cutting mat. Alright, so let's swap over cutting mats. Ooh. Just lift that up, push that to one side. God, that's bright. And then just take my ruler, and then just with a craft knife, he says, of course Ian borrowed my scalpel, didn't he, and not brought it back. God bless him. I'm sure I've got another one somewhere. I've got usually loads kicking around somewhere, just depends how sharp it is. There we go. Oh, you see, fairly sharp. So you can see how strong it is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to trim these little pieces out, just so that I've not got all that sticky, tacky gubbins that's going to stick to my fingers. So just trim them out just within. Okay, so this isn't going to be the most interesting thing, watching me cutting squares out of a napkin, so I'll just jump to the end. I'll do this and then I'll jump to the end where I've done these two. Okay, so I've not only stuck the adhesive to those holly leaf ones, but I've also done the ones for the tartan, and I've also done the ones for that little red tree. But I've also gone ahead and punched out one using my 2.5 inch circle punch, which I'm going to just decide, yeah, I think I'm going to put that one there. That comes straight out now that I've stuck it onto that backing paper, which makes it a lot easier to handle rather than trying to punch out from a napkin. So this one, let's see, we'll do it about there, I think. So then got that, and then I'm just trying to get a lot of the colours in here. So I do that white stripe just so it's over to one side. But putting them onto a backing makes them a lot easier to handle. And then we'll do the tree about there. Come on. And then the same again in the middle. There. So that gives us our 6 backgrounds. We'll put that punch to one side now. So we've got the 6 backgrounds to work with. So all I have to do now is, of course, just peel off the back. And I've already started this one. And remember, this adhesive is extremely strong. So I'm just going to be very careful, try not to get my head in shot. Stick it down, and hopefully I've not gone too far over. Now there is a little bit of a difference in size, but it's only minuscule. So you can just push the excess just over the edge. Because it's tissue, it's dead easy. If you were using glue, then you'd just be able to push it over the edge anyway. So there you go. So we've now got our napkin covered MDF. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same to the remaining 5, and when I've done that, I'll be right back. Okay, so there we have it. Our napkins are now completely covered the front of my little MDF 2.5-inch circle, so they're looking particularly fab already. So the next thing that I want to do is to cover them. I want to give them a shine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover them in embossing powder. So I'm going to be very, very careful and coat the whole lot I'll maybe have to do this a couple of times rather than do them all at once, so I shall do these 2. Just make sure they've got plenty of the glue on. And then I'll grab some scratch paper. And then I can dump, I actually wanted to get away then, didn't it? And then I can dump my clear embossing powder over the top. And I just tap the excess off. Pop them to one side. Put the lid back on there so I'm not blowing it all over the place. And then grab my heat gun, and then we can start to melt that embossing powder just over the top. Now I'm hoping this doesn't take forever. Okay, so I've done the first 2 and you can see, there you go, the shine on that now. See, I normally don't like shine on my projects, but that's usually only when I'm doing an art journal page. For something like this, obviously shine is very acceptable because we're making Christmas decorations, which is cool. So I mean, just look at that beautiful kind of gloss coating on that now. So they're obviously still just a tad warm, and I've got another 4 to do. So rather than bore you with the process of doing another 4, I'll just put those to one side and I'll get cracking on doing the others, and I'll be right back. One thing I did want to point out a little bit is that because the tissue is quite thin and you've got that craft kind of MDF-y kind of look behind, it does show through. So it does kind of give it that vintagey kind of feel. But obviously if you wanted them to be a bit more stark, then paint your MDF first with white paint, either gesso or a white acrylic, whatever you want, or even, you know, or even use a coat of white embossing powder first if you want to, before you stick your napkins down. But I wanted that kind of vintagey kind of feel to them, and that's exactly what I think I've got with those. Well, I think so anyway. You may disagree, that's fine. So let's just give this a real... I'm going to do these in batches of 2 because it's just a bit easier to handle if I do them in batches of 2. Just to make sure I've got that coating all over. Actually a bit of a texture on the napkin showing through, which is kind of cool. What should do for that? Let's just dump that embossing powder all over. See, if money was no object, I'd just dump all this on top and then just heat it just as is. I mean, you can use that ultra thick embossing powder and like the enamel kind of stuff, and which I did have some of, but when we moved, like I said, I thinned down and culled a lot of the resource. I've got a big tear in this paper. I culled a lot of my resources that I hadn't used for a long time, and the ultra thick embossing powder was one of them. So, as with everything, you know, you don't use it for a long time, and then the minute you need it, you've given it away, or you've thrown it away. And then of course, that means you've got to go out and buy more then. The trials and tribulations. Right, let's get this heat gun warmed up again. Give it a few minutes, just to get to optimum temperature. And then we'll start on the next coat. That should do us. Usually 2 coats of the embossing powder is enough. The first one will just soak into the paper, into the tissue, and then your second one really creates your clear coat varnish over the top. But again, if this is too much of a faff, you can just use a clear coat of varnish or clear Mod Podge. Okay, so all 6 of my ATCs are now, well, I say ATCs, my circles are now all embossed and shiny. Oh, look at that. Let's see if I can catch the light with it. There we are. So you can see they've all got a really nice shiny coating. This one hasn't got quite as thick a coating on as maybe that one, but that's fine. But they're all super shiny, so I'm going to put those to one side and let them cool down completely, because I know it will take a little bit of time to do. And while that's happening, I'm going to bring in this next item. So this is a set of gnomes, if you like. So it's a photopolymer set of stamps, and there are 5 little gnomes on there. Now these are just the right size to fit on one of those decorations, one of those circles. So what I've gone ahead and done is I've already chosen and stamped out half a dozen of them from the stamp set. Now the reason you've got the star and the bird is because they're actually part of the same stamp. It's actually connected. I didn't want to cut it up because I'm actually going to donate this to my mother after I've finished. So I purchased this for next to nothing off eBay. It was literally just a couple of pounds. So you know, once I've done with it, then I'm probably never going to use it again. So I've already pre-stamped this out, and I used Stays On ink to do this, because I'm going to watercolour these little gnome characters. So that's the next thing that I'm going to do. So I'm going to grab my Distress inks, and I'm going to use those as watercolours. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about like the little hearts and stuff and the dots on his hat, because I'm going to go back in and add those, the little detail with those in a bit later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out some nice greens and reds, and maybe, let's have a look, Fabric, which is going to be a little bit different, and then I'm going to have Vintage Photo, because that's going to be a little bit brown, and then we've got Fossilised Amber. So I think those three, maybe Lucky Clover, in case I want a darker green. So I think those particular colours are what I'm going to use for my little paint palette. And of course I've got my trusty water brush, which actually could do with being filled up. Just want to make sure that it's clean. So I'll grab some kitchen towel. There we go. It doesn't take long to clean it up, but I also think I do definitely need to fill this up, so I shall get myself prepared. Also, my mat has got a little bit warm, so it's buckled a little bit, so I need to give that time just to cool down a little bit. So maybe it's time to go and put the kettle back on again, because my mug is nearly empty and it's nearly cold. On 5, 4. Okay, I've had a little bit of a tidying clean up, so I'm just going to get started with the candied apple first of all. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that colour onto my craft mat, and I have already filled up my bottle. So, and I'm just going to really carefully just kind of go around. Now, I'm not going to go 100% really too careful, particularly going over the lines, because I am going to cut these out, and I will probably go, and for certain I'm going to go over the little white dots with the white pen. And there's not a lot of colouring that really you need to do. Just to kind of get them where you want them to be. So, and I'm just going to just go around just really kind of loose. Like I said, if you go over the edge, it doesn't make any difference, because I am going to cut these out, or it doesn't make any difference for me because I'm going to cut them out anyway. Just make that a little bit darker there. There we go. And then just give him little red boots, I think. And you could always use your distress markers for this, or whatever colourants that you like. This is just my preference. Maybe just go a little bit darker under there. And then we'll do one more in red. And then I'll do the other three in predominantly green. So, and then I'll just pick out some of the highlights in like the Fossilised Amber. So what I'll do, because this is going to take a few more minutes to do, is I'll pop it onto fast forward and play some music. Because although colouring is interesting, it's not exactly all that interesting to watch. Okay, so grab a little bit of fossilised amber and I'm just going to mix a tiny amount, real tiny amount, and just go in and just add a little bit of colour. So just warm it up a little bit with a touch, tiny touch of red. Just to give our characters a little bit of a colourful face. And that should do it for the paint. So I'll just pop the lids back on. And I know I've got vintage photo out just in case, but I'm not really going to bother, to be honest. I've just got a Signo white Uniball pen, and I'm just going to go back in and just put those little dots that I painted over back in again. Which is why I wasn't particularly too bothered about going in too close. So I think pretty much that's going to be about it. Not really too fussed about being too accurate. I mean, these are supposed to be, or are, watercoloured anyway, so I think that'll do. I think that'll do. Right, so now the next job is to get tidied up, cleaned up, and then I'm going to cut them out very carefully. But of course, watching somebody cut out shapes from a piece of paper isn't exactly the most interesting, so I will do that and then I'll be back once my little guys are all cut out. But first of all, I've got to make sure that they're dry. Right, so all the little characters are cut out, but I have a little confession to make. Not only is this a collaboration with Nina, but also I've had another little collaboration too, because I didn't cut all these out, did I, Ian?
I got my scissors out.
So which two did you cut out? You cut this one out?
I did that one, and I did...
Did you do this one? Was it that, or was it that one?
It was that one.
So you did that one, and you did that one as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so Ian also lent a hand.
Collaborated.
Yes, so thank you very much for that.
I won't be cutting them out again, they're so small.
They are, they're tiny. I mean, look, that's my thumb. Look, that's how small they are, and fiddly.
But I enjoyed it.
Yes.
Makes a change.
Nice. Thank you for helping.
You're welcome. I'm going to pack some t-shirts now.
Okie dokie. Right, so what?
Adios amigos.
Adios amigos, yes, indeed. Okay, so I've got my 6 little Nomi characters. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a little bit of glue onto the back of each one. So this is just bog standard craft PVA, and I kind of already decided which one was going where, which is why I've laid them out in the way that I have. So it will take a second or two for it to grab onto that embossing powder, but don't worry if you get a little bit of glue squishing out, because it will dry clear anyway. A little bit just there.
Sorry about the noise, I'm having a bit of trouble.
Are you having a harassment?
I'm having a bit of an harassment, yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, so a little bit up there, and I'm not really all that fussed if they don't stick down, if like the little hats poke up a little bit, which is fine because it makes them a little bit more 3D. Are you off now?
Adios.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta lumbago.
Hasta lumbago. Funny. It's far too funny for his own good, that lad, sometimes. Put that one up there, bring that one down, try and get it so that the baubles are all hanging in the right directions, obviously. I'm trying to get them so that they're standing up. Now on this particular one, it's got rather delicate hands, so I am going to actually glue those down. So right, that actually, perhaps I should have done that the other way around, actually put the green one there and the red one on that one. I think so actually. Let's just swap that over. Swapsies. And of course, I forgot to mention, it says dropping one of the little gnomes on the floor. Ooh, I'm too old for bending down like that. I did actually go around the edges of all of the cutouts with a vintage photo distress marker. Mine is now almost defunct and dead. I've had it for that long, a good few years now, so there's no shame in sending it to the knacker's yard, but I do definitely need to buy a new one because it really is an invaluable tool, as they say. So let's just drop a little gnomey in there. Cool. So while that's grabbing, I just need to put a little bit of pressure onto each one. So I'm actually just going to stack them like that, because it's going to add a little bit of pressure onto them. And I did have a 7th. Keeps having to get up. So I'm going to drop that over the top, and I'm going to put something heavy, just like so. And I'm going to let that sit. That's going to push everything down, going to hold everything down, and it's going to help it just bond just that little bit better. So I'm going to give it about 5-10 minutes or so, and then I'll be right back. Well, not literally 5 or 10 minutes. For you it'll be like 3 seconds, but for me it'll be about 10 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes-ish. They're kind of stuck down nice and flat now, but what I have done is I've just gone onto the back and just put a little bit of an arrow on the back of each one, just so that I know which way is up. And I've cut some lengths of jute twine, and I've heated up my glue gun. So all I'm going to do now is just put a blob of glue onto the back of my little bauble, and I'm just going to embed some string into it, and then I'm just going to add another blob over the top, just to make sure that it is totally encased. And then what you can do, if you're that way inclined, is just go in and just smooth it out if you want to. That way that creates your little hanger for your little ornaments. So of course I need to do this now for a further 6 times, or a further 5 times, to make sure that they're all done before I finish my last bits of embellishment onto the front of my little ornaments. So we'll do blob, push into, try and keep the string together, and then just add a little blob over the top, and that's just going to encase it. So like I said, I'll carry on and do each one now that you've seen me do these few. Just move it into the middle a bit so you can see it a bit better. Blob of, push in, and then just go over the top. Like so. So I'll finish off and I'll be right back. Okay, so there are my 6 little hanging ornaments. I've got the string already attached. They're ready for kind of hanging, if you know what I mean. So, but what I want to do, just to add a little bit of extra to them, is just add a little blob of glue just towards the top of each one. And then all I'm going to do is just to affix one of these cute little red velvet bows that I've now got left over from my little mini craft haul that I got a few weeks ago. And I'm just going to add one of those to the top of each of my little hanging decoration, just to add a little bit of bit more festive decoration. And I don't mind that it's hiding the tops of some of their little hats. There we go. And I think I'm pretty much ready. Now what I could do is I've still got quite a lot of those little gold stars also. So I could just add maybe 1 or 2 just onto there as well. I mean, not necessarily on, just maybe 1 on each one, or maybe 1 or 2 on each one. And that should, and they should theoretically just hold in place. Just adds that little bit of extra festive cheer, doesn't it? Can't beat a little bit of Christmas bling. Doesn't matter what direction they're facing in either, as long as you've got a bit of shine. Somebody did actually leave a comment saying, and does that PVA hold the plastic? Well, yeah, it does actually. Got a bit of fluff in that one. I think once we've got all these stuck on, I might just put 1 on that one. Yeah, I'm sure we've got room for 2. And I missed completely there, look. we go. That's all the glue on. Come on, fiddly fingers, honestly. There we go. Would it be easier if I had a pair of tweezers rather than these big sausage fingers of mine? Here we go. So again, they're going to just need to have a little bit of time just for that glue just to set and grab. But I think that is pretty much it. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create these little festive Christmas hangings just from those napkins and a stamp. It just goes to show what you can do creating decorations out of next to nothing, really. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. Don't forget, you can find the clickable link in the description area below to Nina's channel, where you'll be able to see what she's done using the napkins that I've sent her. So I just want to say a quick thank you to Nina for playing along with me on this one. So that's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.